Welcome, fellow adventurers, to this episode of Graph Paper Architect. I'm Michael, the Graph Paper Architect, and today we're going to be talking about disappointment. That's right, the one thing that you think you never ever want to do in your game, never want to have in part of your design or your players. You don't want them leaving your game and talking about, oh gosh, it was so disappointing and terrible, and I never want to have that person as a DM again. But I'll tell you right now that proper reward structure is critical to great game design, great DMing, especially professional DMing, and I'm going to teach you all about it, so stick around. Before we get too far into being disappointed, I would really like to not be disappointed and ask you to make an attack roll on the like and subscribe button. That would really help me out a lot, and I will not be disappointed. And also, you can leave a comment. I will respond. I won't leave you disappointed. Managing disappointment is a crucial part of your game design. If you leave your players feeling like, well, why was I even here? There was no point. I gamed for hours and got nothing. They might walk away. If you give them too much too early, they will get bored. We went out, we killed 10 kobolds. What'd you find? 50,000 gold pieces, 20,000 gold pieces in rubies and emeralds, a +5 Vorpal sword of ultimate dragon slaying that I just have to look at and it kills the dragon for me. I'm just, oh, it was so awesome. Yeah. Well, now what? Yeah, maybe some bugbears. Maybe they've got like a new car or something we can get. And that's not to say that they're going to get all the way through the adventure to the end of the dungeon, have a boss fight, and they're always going to find some sort of treasure or loot or rewards. Maybe everything there has already been taken. Maybe it's ruined. Maybe the dragon was so fat that he squished everything. It's not just as simple as just scaling your loot. You can't just simply go, oh, well, the kobolds have 5 and the bugbears have 10 and an orc has 20 and a dragon has 1,000. That sort of structure usually works, and those patterns usually hold. The bigger the threat, the bigger the problem, the more treasure, the more loot that you might get out of it. But when you incorporate proper disappointment, you build emotional investment. And so let's say that the adventurers go forth and complete the quest only to find that there is no treasure. Maybe the treasure was a teddy bear because that's what the princess really wanted. Reward structure usually follows a pattern. The bigger the monster, the bigger the problem, the bigger the reward. And that gets boring really fast. Build disappointment into your adventures so that when they go get finished, they've routed the entire orc encampment, they find nothing. There's nothing there. Oh my gosh, what a disappointment. Or, well, they're going to get, wow, there's got to be something somewhere. Let's get invested. They'll dig in. They'll want to find it. What's going on? Maybe give them an idea of, you see some pretty deep wagon tracks over to the west. It looks like maybe something going that direction was pretty heavy. Maybe that's the treasure cart. Let's go check it out. That's the beauty of disappointment, is it builds emotional investment. You go out, you on your adventure, you slay the monsters, you find nothing. Oh, wow, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay for the room at the inn and all the mead that I said I would buy everybody after I got done killing this thing? Now what? Well, you're going to have to find something. You're going to figure something out. You can get invested. You can dig in. You'll want to play some more because you didn't get the payoff or you got something minimal. This is where you can employ one of the most powerful tools in game design, the carrot on the stick. So they give the teddy bear back to the princess. The princess is super grateful. King and queen, super grateful. Everybody's happy. Thank you so very much. It was wonderful. And now she can sleep at night and everybody's going to have a wonderful night's rest. And that's it. That's it. That's what you get. The gratitude of the royalty. And thank you, adventurers. Bye. They're going to sit there and go, what? No treasure, no reward. What's going on? Make me a lord. Let me have a house. Something going on. How grateful are they? Really? Who knows? Who knows how your players are going to react? But the thing is that you have a carrot on a stick. This lord, this baron, or whatever is grateful. And that can be a very wonderful thing to have later on down the road. You never know when the gratitude of royalty will pay off. Now that brings us to another part of reward structures, is understanding what the rewards truly are that the players are going to be receiving from your game. Is it an emotional reward? Is it a tangible reward that they can use in the game? Is it something that's going to be cool swags that they can show off to other people? What is it that's going to actually benefit them, and how are they going to use that benefit in the future? Regardless of whether or not it's a treasure that ties into another part of a story, something that builds, something that gives them a potential future reward, something that allows them to be able to be a more effective character. So if they had new sword or new armor, something like that. It doesn't really matter what it is. What you're mitigating and what you're managing is the disappointment, and you're also incorporating the disappointment into the design on purpose to help build the emotional investment to make the players want to continue to strive to get something better, get something newer, whatever it is that they're after. They don't quite get it. You could even do something silly and fun, like you get all the way to the end and you're just about to claim the treasure, and the evil witch hobgoblin poofs out of nowhere, grabs it up. Ah, God, you'll never get it. Ha, ha, ha. Poof, gone. They don't get it. Now they don't have it. Are they disappointed? Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, they've got to go back to the town and tell everybody how, well, we're empty-handed. Ah, look at you, you bunch of stupid adventurers. You thought you were going to get the treasure, but you didn't. Or are they going to be really motivated? Oh, we're going to go find ourselves that witch hobgoblin. What's going on, and how did she do that? And we're still going to get that treasure. Those are going to be some of the things that you're using disappointment for to help motivate your characters and get them wanting to go out again. Best way that I've found to do that is to drop hints and hooks and find ways of letting them know that there's some treasure around the corner. There might be something going on, maybe you get there and everything's ruined, and all you find is a bunch of half-ruined equipment and not really any treasure, nothing real big, but you find a piece of a map. You find something scribbled on a piece of paper. You find, any kind of hook, any kind of thing that's going to lead them to think, well, I'm going to get something next time, or there's something else going on. Again, like the tracks off in the distance. Now you have a way to help them begin to get to where there's something. And then the other thing about managing disappointment is when you want to make sure that they don't have any disappointment at all. Every so often, but really kind of rarely, almost satisfy them. Give them just about 99% of everything that they want. They find treasure, they find loot and money and gold and scrolls and magic books. And there's something for the wizard, there's something for the thief, there's something for everybody. Everybody gets a piece. It's almost perfect. Leave them a little hungry. Leave them a little bit like, oh, we could have, but there's something else that we still want to get. Just every so often make sure that you give them the big cheese whammy. Oh, we got it. We won the day, and we've got the hoard, the treasure, the loot. Something that's fun to do in a long campaign, or even throughout a few different modules, is have a drought. Have nothing. They find no loot, no treasure, nothing's going on. Every time they go to a town, it's just destitute. They're grateful. They'll pay for their food. They'll have them with some food and lodging and everything like that. And really, depending on the kind of game that you're playing, I mean, having your room and lodging paid for and being fed and cared for like that, that's huge, huge payoff right there. So, that might just be it. Now, you might think that a good example would be video games, but video games do not give us what we need in tabletop. In a video game, you can go through the adventure multiple times, especially in an MMO. The boss has a chance of dropping the loot that you want, and so you'll run that encounter over and over and over again until you finally get what you want. Now, of course, back in the day, back in here, where we were, you didn't really have that. You wouldn't go and do Strahd's adventure over and over and over again, and you get all the way to the end, and then maybe it's got this loot or maybe it's got that loot. I mean, sure, we have random loot tables and we have random encounters and things that are random, so you never really know if you're going to get the loot that you want, but you had a pretty good chance because it's more based in a realistic structure. If let's say that your big bad was a warrior, chances are that the warrior is going to have some gear, some swords and knives or shield, armor, stuff that warriors have. You wouldn't necessarily drop the bad guy in like you do in a video game, and then you go to loot them and there's a fish and a stick or whatever. It's like, no, you can look and see they're wearing some armor. Maybe it's beat up now, but hey, it's there. You can grab it. And that's why I'm really bringing it up, because while this channel is dedicated to all things game design, and also will do media design, script writing, storyboarding, and all kinds of very fun things, it's generally centered around the tabletop role-playing game experience. And what is unique to that medium in a reward structure is that a lot of the times the adventures are one-shots. You'll grab a module, it's fantastic, you play it, but then you're not going to go back. It's not like an MMO where you're run it again and again and again and again to hopefully get the treasure that you want. You're going to do that. You probably will remember where the traps are or what's going on, and it would have to be changed up quite a bit and rewritten for it to be fun again. So having it built in the first time is absolutely critical. Critical. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Well, I'll just leave that in this time. Yeah. No bloopers at the end, maybe some. So what's the point of that? The point is that you have your disappointment built in because you have your random loot tables, and every time that they save you, they find a chest or they find something in a dungeon, just a regular standard, let's say you're doing a cookie cutter standard dungeon. You're a pro DM, you get approached by people, you get hired, you're going to do standard dungeon. Okay, fine. You go, find the loot, the treasure box, roll on the table, because that's what they want. It's like, let's just make it all random. The players say, yeah, random, cool. And you roll some ones, and you roll some twos, and you roll okay, you find lint, you find dirt, you find some mushrooms that are inedible stuff, you know? I mean, you never really, it's sort of random. And the way that you handle that in a design is that you specifically look at what loot is going to have what percentage chance of them finding it. So if you've got a 1 in 5 shot of finding a little bag of gold, they'll probably find some gold every once in a while, or a nice sword or something's going on. Structure your loot so that if you're rolling for random loot, you're going to be hitting the numbers at a decent amount. You know, if you're rolling all ones, I don't know, use a different die maybe, but you know, you want to be able to build that structure in so that you're not always disappointing them. But there's a potential they get disappointed. Here, I'll give you some basics. One of the really good things that you can do. It's fun and it's easy. Have random loot tables throughout your adventure. Have some specific loot for your end game, and maybe even have some loot that is going to lead into the next adventure. Maybe it's a piece of a relic. You go through and you find a piece of a relic. I wonder what kind of game you'd play where you'd be collecting pieces of relics. Wow, I can't even. D20s and relics and collecting them. Wow. Anyhow, if you are finding something at the end of your dungeon or wherever it is that you're doing, and then that leads into something else, that's even better. You know, they're not getting the immediate reward. Carrot on a stick again. And so your disappointment mitigation and reward structure will shift from random into specific. You get to the end, the evil baron is in his lair, and he is using his magical scepter to mind control all of the sheep and make all of the sheep do specific patterns, and those patterns can be seen from a far distance over the hill to the neighboring kingdom, and that is how he is transmitting the secret information, and their armies are losing because the sheep are in a pattern that is telling the people that is what they need to do, attack pattern delta, because the sheep are all over there. Okay, so you've now gotten into the lair of the evil baron, and you're up in his tower, and you've snuck in, and you've managed to defeat him. Done. Because, thankfully, not everyone in the party has been turned into a sheep. You may have some people, but, you know, they haven't been mind controlled yet. Now, you have a staff of sheep control. And that's what you get. What else? He's got some baronial robes that are now pretty tore up because of the fight. There's clothes. There's a little baron crown. There's some, you know, maybe some really nice cutlery, gold plates and forks and knives and things like that. And that's another thing to always remember, is that loot doesn't always have to be just loot. I mean, The best part about treasure is that it can be anything. One man's junk is another man's treasure, or vice versa. And so you've got, plates, knives, forks, chairs, furniture. Think outside the box. I mean, what is it that is treasure and wonderful? Just as long as someone will pay you for it, it's treasure. So maybe you find a rock, and that rock just happens to be the correct weight to hold down the papers on a wizard's desk, because he's constantly having them blow around from doing wind spells. And man, that wizard is going to give you a ring of protection +1 because he's looked for that specific rock. Who knows? Time and placement is everything. You can go to one town and the rock is worth 10, or you go to another town and the rock's worth 1,000, because, oh my goodness. That's another part of the design. As I said, you can get down some rabbit holes and you can get into some huge mind maps when you're dealing with reward structures and how reward structures are going to work. Certain treasure can be worth something fantastic in one area, and it can be junk somewhere else. Even if it's something good, even if you're like, oh, this is a +1 sword, man, this is great, or this is a sword that's ever sharp, and you can have, who knows, maybe it's a town that is all blunt. Everything's blunt. All the blunt weapons, hammers, maces. They have no use for swords. No one knows how to use a sword. Nobody even wants a sword. It's pointless. It's too big to cut food with. So nobody wants it. And now it's worth $10. So back to the Baron. What are you going to do with a staff that allows you to mind control sheep? Who's going to pay you some bucks for that staff? What's going on with this? It's practically useless for the party. Who are they really going to use that, unless of course maybe someone thinks outside the box, and you're going to go up against an army and you're going to try to make the sheep charge the gate. I don't know. I don't think they'll do that. Probably not. Maybe. But the point is that giving them a reward that is not necessarily just specific to them. Okay, get your players to think about what they can do with that reward. It's an amazing tool, and it's sort of on a disappointment scale, because their immediate reaction might be, oh, well, what am I, I'm a fighter and now I have this wand of magic handwriting that what am I going to do with this? It's nothing to me. It'll never benefit me ever in my entire build structure. Nothing. So now what? Okay. Go on a quest to find a wizard with really bad handwriting and sell it to them, or something. You get them to think about what it is that they get. And if you give them something that's really kind of just silly, a staff of sheep control, a wand of chickens, or whatever it is, they need to consider, where can they find someone that will benefit from the treasure that they have, and then benefit themselves the most from that treasure. That's part of a reward structure. Don't always throw them a curveball. Give them some regular meat and potato stuff. Generally, they'll find some gold or some other things that they can turn that into gold. But every so often, man, what are you going to do with that wand of chickens? You got to figure it out. You got to do something with that wand of chickens. Go find Gonzo, make some money. Disappoint your players. Don't be afraid of it at all. It is a powerful, wonderful tool to use, and it's going to build emotional investment. It will build their grit. They will want to stick in, want to play some more, want to get some stuff, as long as you aren't flattening them with it, and as long as you're not constantly just, oh, you find nothing, you find nothing, you find nothing. Hours and hours, days go by, and oh my gosh, there's nothing. And I mean real life days. I mean, if you have 2-3 sessions, however many that it takes, in order to try to find that sweet spot with your particular group that's going to get them invested, what you really want to do, eventually what you're going to get to is you're going to get to a point where you can read your room and read your players and understand where their sweet spot is of how far can I push them? How far can I take these people before they are like, I'm out. Don't want to do this anymore. Forget it. I'm never getting anything, and this sucks. And I'm like sitting here and I have just basic gear and whatever, that kind of thing. That's what you want to avoid. It's the breaking point. Disappointment mitigation is about finding the breaking point, or knowing kind of where it's at, getting an idea, and then staying sort of near that, because then you're going to get the ultimate payoff. You're going to get the biggest. It's like you go through a campaign and you've played for 2 weeks, boy, you've traversed the country and you have faced all of the different monsters and problems and things and going on. And then eventually you get to where I have now found the mithril coat, and you've got the mithril coat. It's the payoff, the big stuff, and it doesn't always have to be the big giant payoff either. It could just be the ever sharp sword, or it could be that you've completed the quest, you've returned the teddy bear. Who knows what it's going to be? It's going to be something that's going to work given your play set. You're going to have to also see where your players are, what kind of players you have, and what it is that they want. Now, there's going to be a few different ways that you're going to find that out. Of course, if you're a professional dungeon master, there's going to be questionnaires involved. There's going to be session zeros involved. You're going to find out, okay, where are these players coming from? What sort of world are they coming from? Meaning that you, in your session zeros and in your interviews with your players, you find out, what do they play? What do they like? What is it they're doing? And having an understanding of those games, even if you've never played them, you're going to want to run out and grab some YouTubes or something that's going to give you the cliff notes on what it is that that game does, how it operates, what the reward structure is like, what sort of things are in it or not in it. And then again, you get that idea of where these players are going to want to go. So, and it's going to be completely different from video games to board games to novels to movies to whatever it is that you're doing. This is all going to be another set of professional dungeon master videos that we're going to be talking about. How do you find out what your players want? How do you find out what they're going to need? And how is it that you're going to be able to continue to do things in one setting or in multiple settings, meaning that you're going to have a one shot. You can get that information, you can formulate it, write it down, got it, move forward and have a fantastic adventure that's going to meet your players' needs, because it's a professional dungeon master. Of course, that's what you're doing. You're doing a job. If you've got friends, then sure. Oh boy, yeah, my friends. How many times did they go and find like fish? Oh, you found a fish. Well, it's about a 10-pound fish, and it's really actually pretty sturdy. You could probably slap somebody around with it, and they did, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was their reward, the fish of doom. Get out there and disappoint some players. Build that into your adventures. Make sure that they don't always get what they want. You can't always get what you want. All right, I won't sing. But you try sometimes. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop. Seriously though, you do not be do not be afraid of disappointing them. You want to make them disappointed. You want them to walk away feeling a little unsatisfied, a little bit of, or a lot, depending, but you want them to want it like, oh, we're going to get it. So go disappoint some people. Now, if you don't want to be disappointed, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what's going on in the comment section. Let's get interactive and let's build this channel up and have some fun. Till next time, friends, good journey. That's right. The one thing that you always think that you don't